as expected, we are in fact getting a brand new race and class all combined into one with Wild
Yes, the
Dragonfly.
DRACTHYR.
In fact, this is the first time ever Blizzard is releasing a race that can only be one class and a class that can only be one race, and this is...
Yeah, take the risks, Blizzard. I like it. Take the risks and see how it turns out. Right? By take the risk, I mean not implementing a single system that's only going to last for one expansion. That's not risky. This is a risk right here. They're adding a class. This class is going to be around forever. Right? They're adding a class and a race that's just single spec. That's it. Sorry, a race that can only be one class. It's got 2 specs, but that's interesting. And if it works, they'll be able to probably do more stuff like this. Blah 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 blah. Mag always thinks that that's
is in fact a
this man.
DRACTHYR Evoker. Even more interestingly, we will be playing as minions of Deathwing, like Deathwing himself, an ancient experiment left to the winds of time on the Dragon Isles. So, who are the DRACTHYR, the Evokers?
Who are the
Stay tuned to
DRACTHYR
video while I
indeed?
cover all the relevant information that we have. Are you looking for cheap software like Windows 11 for the best price on the market? Well, Royal City Keys is your best option. Other than software, you can find a bunch of games at amazing prices.
Your Windows
and if you use my code DORON, you will get an additional 10% off. So if you want to support the channel and get something for yourself, check out my link in the description or the QR code on the screen. Turns out the leaks were fake and we are not getting 4 new classes with 1 spec. I'd say the leak was partially right because Blizzard really is experimenting with something completely new and kind of unique.
Is that their dance? Is that their racial dance? I haven't seen this yet.
Because Blizzard really is experimenting with something completely new and kind of unique. For the first time ever, we are getting a race that can only be one class.
Love listening to Dracula's lore videos.
We are also getting a class that can only be one race, which is the DRACTHYR. Despite the trouble spelling the name DRACTHYR itself, this is in fact a really interesting new addition to the game. It is in fact a completely new concept.
I think all of this added customization is great. I mean, look at these things. You can literally, horns are customizable, scales are customizable. Obviously, the skin color, the eye color. Look at the difference here. I mean, this one doesn't even have pupils, it looks like. Just the difference between each one, and then, mind you, this is like the human customization. Just like Worgens, you can customize the human side of it and the dragon side of it. And hey, more customization in WoW is always a great thing. I think allowing people to make their tunes look unique is always good. What's up? Good morning, MBN.
Something they just came up with, which I gotta say is a bit surprising. Previously, I expected them and I speculated that they will add the Draconids, the ones that you have been familiar with for ages in World of Warcraft. They have a long history, but instead they decided to create a completely new race related to them in many ways. So, who exactly are these DRACTHYR and why are we able to play with them?
Tons of customization options. Very cool. Yeah, and Mag says he doesn't think he'll play one, but he's excited to see them. Yeah, I don't think, I'm not going to main one. I'm a Death Knight through and through. That's just what I play. But I will make one just to see what it looks like and how they play. And one of the new zones in Dragonflight, right on the Dragon Isles, there's 5 new zones. One of them is just meant for the starting zone of the DRACTHYR. So I'd want to check that out too. So I might just make one and fly around. Druid life, yes. Mag is a druid through and through.
In my opinion, is the most interesting part. The DRACTHYR are actually an experiment of Neltharion, the Earth Warder, an ancient experiment on the Dragon Isles continent. Now, if you follow the lore,
the man who became Deathwing created these.
You've been familiar with the concept of the chromatic dragonflight, and you have no doubt seen them in the game up to this point. The chromatic dragonflight was an experiment that originally began with Deathwing, but no specimen were produced until his son Neltharion managed to achieve success with his own magical experiments in the Black Rock Mountain. He captured the whelps from the other 4 dragonflights and magically combined them into one in order to essentially create super dragons that had all the abilities. This, up to this point, was a very short-lived success, and ultimately, I'd say it was even a failure as nothing big had actually been achieved. However, now with this new lore, this old lore is starting to make a lot more sense, and it apparently has a bit more depth. Turns out that Deathwing, while he was just Neltharion the Earth Warder, in order to battle the Primalists on the Dragon Isles and to protect the Isles, managed to actually achieve success back on them by doing a similar process. Then, the Sundering...
Yeah, so he made them to... I didn't realize that. He made them to basically protect the Isles, besides Stone Dude. right? But we saw stone dudes. I don't know if they were really protecting the isles. I mean, they were just kind of standing there. We saw some of them, right? They had their faces taken off. I mean, they weren't reacting to anything. They were falling apart, just standing there. But maybe these DRACTHYR were the ones really protecting the island while the dragons were away. Right? Or the dragons were away, the DRACTHYR will play. Is that what was going on? Maybe. But the stone guys they seemed like they were just there to turn the island back on when it was time. Otherwise, they were just kind of frozen in place, not reacting to anything. It's interesting.
Happened, he went crazy, the aspects abandoned the island, and it was just hidden from everyone. I'm guessing he missed this, so he wanted to do more, and then thousands of years later, his son did the same thing as well. He probably heard about this Dragon Isles experiment. Well, let's actually examine what we know about this experiment that was a great success, because soon we will be playing the DRACTHYR in the new expansion. So, apparently, Neltharion the Earthwarder wanted to create the perfect soldiers, so to do that, he wanted to combine the powers of all the dragonflights with distinctive qualities of the mortals. Before he fell to old god corruption,
this was a cool cinematic. That was a cool cinematic. You guys remember this? They popped through with one of the better ones in BFA.
In response to the growing tension between the Primalists, the followers of Galakrond, and the actual dragonflights. He wanted to put together the magnificence, the wisdom, the sheer power of the majestic dragons, together with the scrappiness, ambitiousness, flexibility, and mobility of the mortal races, and he was actually successful. He managed to form the DRACTHYR. Little is known what he did with them, but we do know a decent amount about the DRACTHYR at this point. So, unlike other races that, picked their own class, these guys were soldiers built with a purpose, similar to the Demon Hunters, just being a singular race. So, the DRACTHYR don't really know anything other than just being evokers. Now, who are these evokers? What even is this class? Evokers are a ranged, male-wearing class, and they only have two specializations, which is Devastation and Preservation. As they combine.
Right, so basically, they're a ranged mage, right? They're a male-wearing mage, or they're I don't know how to describe it. I mean, almost all healers are ranged, considered to be ranged. But these guys were male, so we don't have a lot of male healers right now, do we? I mean, you got Shaman. Shaman can be a healer. What other male healers do we have? Why is Shaman's the only one I can think of right now? Paladin's a plate-wearing healer. Yeah, I mean, okay, so we got an additional male-wearing healer, and then we got the male version of a mage, which is cool. I think those are good additions to our current specs out there and classes.
Unique abilities as well as ways of casting these spells. Devastation is a DPS specialization that uses fast, explosive power of the red dragonflight and the more focused and overwhelming magic of the blue dragonflight. Now, in regards to Preservation, this is combining the green and the bronze. So, using the healing powers of the green dragonflight in nurturing spells, while using the powers of the bronze in order to manipulate time and make wounds.
It's cool that the dragonflight, the powers of the dragonflights are what empower these abilities.
Something between a druid and a chronomancer, and as we speculated, it turns out they are adding chronomancers in a way. They didn't say what the power is by the black dragonflight, but my guess is that the black dragonflight is their base state, the resilience and the way they're just wired, so like the platform they are built on. Now that is from the dragon side,
which makes sense because they came from the dragon. They were made by the dragon.
They used to combine the mortal aspect, which is like half of their power. Based on their looks, they have a very humanoid and sort of an elven look. Maybe they combine some of the earthen, as there is obvious Titan Forge influence, as they literally built like half of the Dragon Isles and obviously work together, but it is clear that they lean more towards mortals than they do dragons. In fact, the DRACTHYR really look like dragon-empowered mortals, as they have two forms, the humanoid and the draconid one, but really both of them are very human-like, with one going more towards the side of lizard people. Interestingly enough, and completely expected, they have their own completely unique flying form, which makes sense, as it would be kind of weird having dragons just riding other dragons. So this was how.
Wait a minute, wait. Can they fly? Like fully fly? I thought they really were like more gliding. Could they legit fly? Because he's saying they have their own flying form.
Enough and completely expected that they have their own completely unique flying form, which makes sense.
That's pretty cool if that's the case. I do remember somebody saying in the dev interviews that when you're mounted, as a Dracthyr, you will be in your human form. And they mentioned that because a dragon riding a dragon's kind of weird. But I didn't realize that they would have their own flying. Like they could flap their wings and legit fly around. If that's the case, that's a game changer. I mean, you have the Worgen who can go into mount form, right? They can go on all fours and run around. I guess it's be essentially the same thing except flying form. Where is everyone this morning? Good question, Mag. Good question. I'm wondering the same thing.
Dan says it would be kind of weird having dragons just riding other dragons. So this was thousands of years ago, obviously before the Sundering. Apparently, Neltharion built a Dracthyr long ago before he fell to corruption, as there was a lot of tension between the Primalists and the Dragonflights, and he did this by combining all of the power of his brothers and sisters. Maybe this is the first time he did this because he, with a demon soul, was really keen on wanting to take the power from the rest of the Dragonflight, so maybe this was his first experience. However, what we do know is that in their starting location there was a terrible battle, and because of this they retreated to dormancy, and with the magic drained from the Dragon Isles, they were even further set to slumber, only to return now as we mortals venture into their continent. Honestly,
this dragon customization is, the mount customization is one of the most exciting things for you. Like Dracthyr aside, the mount customization I think is going to be such a fun thing, especially if there's like these, you know, key unlockable things and achievements that you can get to customize your dragon even further. There's so much to be done with this.
There seems to be an obvious parallel here with the Demon Hunters and the Dracthyr. Unique class with a unique look, soldiers with a purpose that lay dormant, albeit the Demon Hunters were only imprisoned for a few years, not 10,000s, and the Dracthyr weren't even imprisoned. However, what we do know is that this class starts at level 58 in their own starting zone, which seems to be the sole purpose of the zone called Forbidden Reach.
I know, right, Epics? It's 7:45. We should be 2 bosses in by now. Where is everybody today? What is going on? Usually they quit much quicker than this on a Wednesday.
They will be a neutral class, just like the Pandaren, and with the ability to pick a faction, but the way this will work
ability
will
to
be
pick a faction.
different than what we had.
It's interesting, the ability to pick a faction, and like the faction lines are kind of being blurred at the moment, right? We're going to get cross-faction raiding and PvP and all kinds of stuff like that in the next patch. So by the time Dragonflight comes out, we're going to have this cross-faction play well established. So now you're going to have these, you know, like the Pandaren, they're going to be able to pick their sides. But he's saying it's a bit different, so I'm interested in what's different about it.
Will be completely different than what we had in Mists of Pandaria. With the Pandaren, you went through the entire quest line, saw both sides, and then had to go through a philosophical decision in order to pick the side that kind of aligns with you better. However, in the case of the Dracthyr, you will be able to choose faction alignment at the character creation screen, and this will be more of a practical decision and less of a head breaker, because at the moment, the Horde and the Alliance seem to really be united with this cross-faction thing, and there isn't a crazy faction war going on. Plus, we, the Horde and the Alliance, are coming to the Dragon Isles more as an expedition to help, learn, and restore, instead of just sending the military to claim the land and collect resources. So
correct, yeah, it's a different kind of exploration than it was with Mists of Pandaria, where they kind of came to this land and then it became who can conquer the land faster. This is, yeah, like more of an exploration, and we're more united at this point. And especially once the expansion comes out, we're going to be. We'll see.
This different approach will definitely play a big role in picking your faction as the Dracthyr. However, why the Dracthyr decide to join our
Yeah, Andy, you can't just whisper me your, or tell me your name.
Factions is a bit of a mystery. As I said, it isn't clear whether they were created with good or bad intentions, but these soldiers of Deathwing will now become a part of the Horde and the Alliance. My best guess right now is, with Neltharion gone, they're now bound to the other dragon aspects as they have their power,
maybe.
and as the aspects kind of invited us to join them on their return home, I'm guessing they want to use the old weapons of Neltharion by adding them to our army. Another possibility is that the mortal races used in their creation might be tied to our history of our playable races, so that might play a role in this decision as well. Nonetheless, the Dracthyr Evoker concept really seems exciting and something with a lot of new lore potential.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you for watching.
Very cool stuff.
The big battle of Dragonfly by
cool race and a nice addition to the game, I think.
For videos on real world history. See you next time.